Hello everybody. This is my mask making workshop video for Concordia. This is a Commedia dell'arte mask, traditionally used on stage, and we are going to make one. And out of a plastic neutral mask and model magic. So I have a bunch of these neutral masks that are normally used just plain white, but I personally like these better than these Zorro type masks because they have more of a forehead, more of a cheek, and also more of a nose to work off of. Normally masks are just to cover your face and leave your mouth completely opened. So we're going to take a pair of scissors and we're going to trace a line down the neutral mask, make sure you're symmetrical on either side, and completely cut off the mouth part. So once we have our mask cut out, it is a good idea to make sure that it is equal on both sides, and if it's not, we could fix that with the model magic, so don't worry too much about that. We have a nice smooth plastic surface. We need a really nice strong glue for the model magic to be stuck on. So we're going to use Wellbond glue. First thing I usually do is research a little bit. I went on the web and I found a whole bunch of visual references to traditional Commedia dell'arte masks. I fell in love with this guy right here. Very, very happy, joyful. I love the cheeks, I love the eyebrows, and so on and so forth. So once you have your visual reference, you're on your way. It's also really helpful to have a foam head to put your mask on. So you have something to push up against. And it also takes the shape of a head. So a couple of tools that we're going to use are these wooden carving tools. It's always nice to have some sort of stick or some sort of modeling for your mask. But at the same time, you do not have to go all out. Do not spend any money really on any things like this because you can use popsicle sticks, plastic knives and forks to make any sort of form. So, the model magic obviously will not stick by itself, so that's why we use Wellbond. So I usually put a nice layer on just to get started. Usually the whole mask gets covered, regardless of its dimensions. And the glue helps out quite a bit in the stickiness. So the good part about using model magic is it doesn't dry. There's no time limit. You're not rushed when you're putting it on. You can come back to it quite a bit. I usually do things, make sure I have enough time to do everything in one sitting. If you don't do that, you sometimes lose track. So once you've covered your whole mask with the model magic, don't worry about it being uneven. The next step is smoothing it all out. If you find your mask is moving a lot on your foam head, grab some pins or in my case some finishing nails. And the beauty of having a foam head is you can poke stuff that into it. It'll keep it in place, and it will make your process a little bit easier. Have a small bucket of water near you. Glue gets on your hands, makes your hands really nice and sticky, which makes maneuvering and handling the model magic a little bit more difficult. So what we're going to do is just smooth everything out with some water with your fingers and your thumb. And make sure that everything's nice and even and exactly the way you want it. We go back to our picture to the next step. My picture here has some ridiculously large cheeks and a really kind of cool nose, and that goes all the way up around his eyebrows. So we got to make some decisions. What is our the height and the depth and the relief of the proportions of our face? So obviously up the nose, you could even take one of your tools and start marking out where you want your definitions to be. Our nose on our guy is quite clown-like. I've already started making it quite round. The nostrils will be a challenge, but I think we're up for it. I've already built on already to our nose, and I think we need to add a little bit more. And it is really, really easy to make these masks look evil with some extreme eyebrows. So we're going to try to avoid that because our character is quite clown-like. Now the cheeks. In our photo, our cheeks are extremely pronounced, very narrow, a bit tear-shaped, I guess you could say, or raindrop shaped, and the whole mask is actually curved at the side. So we're going to have to make sure that our cheeks stick out quite a bit. And if they're not, we're going to be able to, we'll portray the wrong emotion. So make sure of that. We're going to make sure that our cheeks are very well put together. Use some vantage points. Our photo, the cheek starts right below the eye. So you can put a little dot. Put a little dot on either side, make sure that they're equal. Then when you put on a new piece like this, it is always a good idea to feather out your edges. A little bit of water on your fingers. So once that's done, take one of your sharp tools. Make sure that your wooden tools are nice and wet. If they're dry, they tend to stick to the Model Magic. So we look at our picture, and our picture has a few lines. Has this massive cheek right here on one side, and from the eyelid and throughout. So now we take our carving tool and really start squeezing and making these lines as defined as we can. So I've just spent the last couple of minutes going around with my tool and making all the lines nice and defined and making sure that everything is in the right spot. The good thing about Model Magic is you can manipulate it up until it's almost dry. And it takes a long time to get it to dry. So as I said, there's no rushing. And a lot of times, just look at it from a distance. Look at it both sides. Make sure both sides are nice and symmetrical. All your lines are nice and pronounced. Get your fingers into the lines. And you'll have a much more successful mask if you just take the time, look at it, and make sure that everything is looking good. And don't be surprised that the Model Magic has cracked on you a little bit. As you can see, my masks over time have dried out a little bit. They need a little bit of upkeep. The next morning, when you are really, really upset that your Model Magic has cracked a little bit, take a little bit of Model Magic, a little bit of water, go into the cracks, go into the seams, and touch up your mask. After that, it should be okay. And then have some fun painting, either with sponges. I have an airbrush. Airbrushes are amazing. They're a great investment. And multi-purpose. You could use them for a lot of things if you're into poster making, model making, that sort of thing. And other than that, I'm signing out. Thank you very much for listening, and to the next time.